Welcome back to the Two Promises Podcast. Let's dive right into another exciting adventure with BD and crew as he pursues his new passion of one day finding the most epic bourbon. The Two Promises team send their special thanks to Hobie and the Huckleberries for their masterful theme music. So grab a glass, relax, and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey and I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth, smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.
Welcome back, guys. We are again at BD Mobile. We are in South Texas, and I have a little bit of a break from my normal duties as I'm consulting with some local businesses on implementing best practices to prevent a reoccurrence of infection here in this local area. If you've been following the news regarding the cases, the COVID cases here, there was a large spike in South Texas, and a bunch of medical professionals flooded the area. In fact, one of my friends was on one of those units that came in here to help treat people that were infected. And now that spike has gone down, it's the bell curve's flattened, it's lowering again. It's at much more sustainable levels. Luckily, the hospital infrastructures were not overwhelmed. There was one county that's just a very isolated county that their medical facilities did get overwhelmed, but the rest of the medical facilities maintained well, which is good. So the practices that people are following have been effective in that. What is unique about this place, if you listen to previous episodes, you might get a little bit of a recap, but they had a much higher mortality rate. I don't know if it's because of the pre-existing health conditions. It's a very interesting diversity of population in terms of like their accesses to health care, their diet, the environment around here. It all plays a factor, right? That's besides the point of this right now. So what I'm doing is I'm educating businesses on how to reopen more safely, how to manage their risk as business owners, as employers and employees and guests in this very interesting time. But I'm going to have to get back to work soon, so I want to dive right into the topic of conversation today. Currently, I am drinking a Perrier. I'll get into that a little bit later, but definitely trying to get that hydration up. One thing that I have noticed is sometimes when my stomach's unsettled, it likes that kind of carbonated feel, and I'm really trying to reduce my sugar and my carbohydrates, which we'll get into that later as well. But I do like that mouthfeel of like the carbonation, and so I'm trying not to drink sodas. I'm trying not to drink a lot of those other carbonated beverages, energy drinks, and things like that. So I have been adopting some of those fizzy waters. But what I want to talk about today is immune health. And there's so many different ways you can boost your immune system. There's so many different, things that the immune system does for us, and there's so many ways that the immune system can harm us. And my buddy Chance, really great guy. I know if you heard the episode with me and Seth, the first episode with me and Seth or whatever, whenever we talked about how you really need to find yourself a Scott, well, you really need to find yourself a Chance too. This guy is absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. He's just a really good friend of mine. We've known each other pretty much our whole life, from school, grade school, high school, and then as adults. But we'll play some board games, and one of the board games is Ticket to Ride. If you haven't played it, it's basically a resource management and kind of strategy game where you're trying to build railroads to different cities, and you're competing with other railroad tycoons. But one of the rules is, or at least a variation, is the person who traveled last gets to start the game. And since that's typically what I do, and that's my relationship with all of these people, I usually get to go first. But another tip or knowledge point that he mentioned was that people who travel the most have the strongest immune systems. And he would brag to his friends whenever he'd introduce me. He'd say, this is my friend BD, and he has the strongest immune system out of anyone that I know. Because he knows I traveled everywhere. I spent whole days sitting in cow poop in the freezing cold in the mountains of freaking the Hindu Kush. So, it can be interesting. But I'm talking about immune health, and that's a very interesting story about how that you can be exposed to so many different things. And if you talk about like historical examples of just high mortality rates due to disease and infection, it's extremely powerful, and it's very humbling whenever we're reminded that we are very fragile. While we are extremely resilient, while we are extremely strong and powerful, we are also limited, very limited by our physiology and our needs, our physiological needs. So, travel, immune system, immune health. A very interesting book by Michael Crichton. It was called Eaters of the Dead. And two authors that kind of do some like historical fiction stuff that I just really enjoy their work are Stephen Pressfield and Michael Crichton. So today we'll talk about Michael Crichton and Eaters of the Dead. If you haven't read it and you're a reader, it's a really good book. If you're not a reader, you want to watch the movie version, The 13th Warrior is what that book was adapted to. So you can watch that movie, The 13th Warrior. You'll get the gist of some of the cultural points that Michael Crichton highlighted whenever he was writing that book. The cultural point that I would like to discuss today is how Vikings or other similar warrior cultures might boost their immune system. Even if at that time they didn't have the technology to understand bacteria and viruses and stuff like that, they still had traditions or rituals or social norms that actually boosted and promoted the immune systems of their communities. So the interesting practice that I'd like to talk about is also a social hierarchy type thing whenever you talk about class or social stratification. So social stratification is one of those, $1 million words. I don't know if it's $1 million because I ain't seen a nickel of that money, but it's one of those words that would describe, like if you think of a kingdom, you have a king, then you have like a queen, you have a court of their advisors, magistrates, knights, all the way down, right? That's the quickest and easiest, all the way down to the peasants, But I'm not quite dead. I'm not dead yet, but I'm not dead. You get the point. That is social stratification. So even in a more democratic or republic type political organization, there's still social stratification. So, Vikings, their social stratification and how they promoted their own immune systems. Their biggest warlord or the boss or the, Arl, probably mispronounced that, but they would get to wash themselves first at the beginning of a meal or a celebration if they were kind of in their great halls or however it was that they were eating group meals. And they'd get a basin of water, clean water, and the biggest boss man would get to wash himself first. And, they'll wash their face, they'll snot in it, they'll spit in it, they'll wash their hands, whatever, and then they pass it on down to the next lower guy. By the time the new guy gets his rinse thing, he's washing his face and his hands in all of the snot, spit, mucus, etc., all the germs of the warriors that have survived the most battles, because they're the ones that are still there. They get dirty. They get gritty. They get up front, in your face, personal, hand-to-hand combat killing. Well, maybe not hand-to-hand, they had weapons, but you're still at an arm's reach. Whenever you're getting that close to a sweaty person that's been freaking fighting and trying to survive, and they're covered in other people's blood, and, okay, you watch these movies, like, say, Braveheart, and, like, that big scene that, like, gets everybody is whenever he's getting disemboweled. whenever people are getting chopped up and trampled on a freaking melee combat thing, do you think it's just blood that's depicted in the movies that freaking is getting all over everything? No. Like, the slicing things there, I mean, can you imagine the organs that would get loosed and all over it? Because, I mean, I've treated people and had to put their freaking intestines and, take care of them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I've seen this. And a lot of people have seen this. So, the reason I bring it up is to talk about that immune health. If you're covered in that grime, in that gore, and you're still functioning and alive, your immune system is doing something very powerful. And we have become a lot more refined in our ways that we try to help boost our immune systems to prevent pandemics. But that was a method that was used in history. So I find that extremely fascinating. And if you don't believe that things like this still occur today, well, I got news for you. Remember, if you're following me on my socials, I posted when I was at a wedding, a Marine wedding for a Lima Battery, a phenomenal group of warriors right there. It was just such a pleasure to be working with them and being with them for the wedding, but there's always, work to be done, getting things handled. But I posted that Marines are exhausting, right? And I thought that was kind of funny because, yes, they were exhausting, but they were telling me some stories about, instructor duty and how potentially their coffees that might have been prepared by students, I don't remember all the details, but let's just go into story time. For instance, what if a fledgling wannabe warrior is in the middle of a warrior ascension pipeline and then is given extra duties whenever they thought that they might be able to have time to sleep to prep coffee, to clean the instructor spaces, or prepare food or anything like that for, the class of individuals that they're trying to join the ranks of, that they're aspiring to be a part of. And their mentors, their instructors, their guides are very hard on them. And to create that warrior culture the way that to mass produce it quickly, like the armed forces does out of necessity, you're gonna make some people not very happy with your methods. So sometimes people want to retaliate. They want to reset that perceived imbalance, or maybe they just want to have fun and get a good laugh, whatever it is. But sometimes some very vile things can be done to surfaces and beverages. I'm just going to put it like that. That's basically the gist that I got out of that conversation. So it looks like the whole immune system thing kind of goes both ways in the warrior culture. And it's really interesting to see how we just naturally do this to each other sometimes. Nobody put that in a book. There's no written record that says, hey, this is how you should do it. And yet so many different cultures do it. So I find that very interesting. But instead of, I just kind of want to segue off of that because I'm in no way, shape, or form encouraging you to go out and spit, get a big old loogie and spit in somebody else's face or in their water or in their Cheerios or pee in it or anything. So please, please, please do not think that that's what I'm saying. I'm telling historical stories. This is a storytelling podcast. I like collaborative storytelling, but right now I'm kind of making do in some of the gaps in my schedule and I'm going monologue style. So instead of spitting on your friend to help his immune system, let's take some other immune system tools. We've talked about them before. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them really quickly because I just really want to do some damage control and prevent. If you listen to the ounce or the Oz of prevention episode, you'll understand why I'm wanting to do that. Some tools you can do. Hydrate. Keep plenty of fluids in your system. It's going to be kind of uncomfortable the first few days that you start boosting your water intake because your body's just not used to it, but your body really wants it and needs it. So keep going. Push through it. Eventually, your system's going to catch up with you. Another thing is just move. Move your body. Whether it's dancing, whether it's, getting some energetic TikTok videos or whatever it is you kids do these days, get some freaking movement. Go outside. Get some sun. Vitamin D. Pretty much everyone in the modern world right now is vitamin D deficient. So, if you don't supplement your vitamin D, vitamin D3, freaking go out and get some sun. Expose as much of your skin to the sun as you can. 15 minutes a day, even if you just get maximum sun exposure for 15 minutes, it can do wonders for your vitamin D3 levels. Putting that out there. Immune system boost, right? The other thing is good inputs. Putting healthy stuff into your body. We already talked about the hydration factor, right? But good foods, as clean as you can, fewer preservatives, fewer whatever. And of course, I understand we're in a very modern world. I'm not asking anyone to go completely freaking organic, grow it yourself, kill it yourself, or anything like that. But I'm just saying make those conscious efforts. Do that due diligence, like that 30-second gap when you're looking at a product that you're wanting to buy at the store and you're kind of cost comparing and you're seeing what you can afford and what, your body wants and needs. Just taking that extra little bit of time to read the label to find the one that really does have the better ingredients for you. Those little simple things can go a long, long way. And one thing that I've been doing, and again, as a consultant, you see a huge mix of just people and fringe benefits, if you will. I guess so. One of the fringe benefits that I'm receiving on this particular business that I've been working with is they have very well stocked like snack rooms and stuff like that. And they have a culinary staff that just really provides for employees and guests. And they do a phenomenal job. I think there's like 3 chefs on staff. I'm not really sure, but they're incredible. So they have what I call a magic factory. And I just don't know how they do it. They have this big kitchen space and they just put out these just phenomenal meals, and they're just so kind. They're such great people. And so, I'm helping implement some COVID safety practices within their kitchen, within stuff. Of course, I'm not a chef, but with my medical background in preventative medicine, I know enough about that culinary world to just help assist them take what they're already doing naturally in their cleanliness and the hygiene practices of their kitchen and just applying this to the COVID thing. So since I've been kind of in there seeing their flow and just giving some tweaks and suggestions on how we can make this safer and prevent this infection spread even more, they see that I kind of am busy and I'm moving around, I'm doing a lot of different things, and they're very flexible with my meals sometimes. So they're very nice and sometimes preparing me something off to the side because I might not be able to sit down and eat, say, the waffles. So one thing that we've been kind of doing is I have my own like protein and like liquid multivitamin superfoods and hydrolyzed collagen protein, optimizing that fat metabolism, supporting healthy joints, skin, and hair, and, the energy boosts. Anyway, so I have my own little cocktail, if you will, that I like to put together and blend together. And since they were kind of offering to, give me a little extra love from their magic factory, I took them up on that offer, and they've been making me these smoothies, and I just bring them the ingredients. I'll wipe them down, sanitize them, all that kind of stuff, bring them to their little window, and they'll maintain sanitation and cleanliness practices and stuff like that, and then they'll blend me up a smoothie, and it's just freaking delicious. So that's good inputs. You know what I mean? Like finding those supplements that really work with you, that really work with your body. If you're looking for recommendations, you can find some links in my socials, but that's not the purpose of this dialogue right now. The purpose of this dialogue is to get those good inputs in you and take what you can when you can. As you know me, I'm very mobile, or at least for the people who know me, they know I'm very mobile. And even just the titles of some of these episodes or the intros where I say we're BD Studios or BD Mobile, because I have to move. That is how I make my money. That is how I affect change. That is how I help different industries, because that is what I like to do. Is I like helping people improve, get to that next level quickly, and do it as friction-free as possible. That's my goal, really. I really like to try to find those balances in interpersonal relationships that can enact change quickly and smoothly and feel so good that it's sustainable even after I leave. So those are a lot of my goals whenever I take on some of these clients. Because of that, I need streamlined supplements. I don't need, like, just one of these packages. It's an ounce. It's 1 ounce, and it has 22 different superfoods in it. So 1 ounce liquid, 22 superfoods. Some of the best foods you can find from all around the world. They just take it, they juice it down. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of things that I'm looking for. And in my social posts, if you're following any of these things, please drop any of the supplements that you're using, because I'm on the hunt, dude. I am on the hunt for the best, most effective things. And the best thing for me might not be the best thing for anyone else. So share. That is a big part of this. Just like we're maybe how the Vikings shared their germs. Like, let's share our supplements. Let's share what's been working for us. Let's share what's helping people feel energetic, helping people maintain their flow state, helping people maintain their energy, you know, their energy around them and internal energy. And a big part of that is healthy living, hydrating, moving, putting the good inputs in. You put the good inputs in, you're going to get the good outputs. You're going to find that energy you're looking for. You're going to find the strength that is inside of you that, you know, maybe you just needed to freaking get some cobwebs off of it, but it's there. So those are a few things that I just wanted to leave you guys with. I wanted to talk a little bit about this incredible staff, professional staff here that I've just been honored to be a part of and to work with. And I want to thank them very much for all of their just being great people, just being incredible people. So it's about time for me to get back to work. I had a nice little break, wanted to have a quick conversation with my peeps. So thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. And I look forward to interacting and chatting with you all again very soon. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today on this curious roller coaster of life. If this is your stop, please exit peacefully and enjoy the rest of your day. If you're ready for another one, just push play. Just a final note before you go. Thank you, and thank you for feeling. The distillation and aging process is different for everyone. I'm not quite sure what you're ready for. Sip slowly and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey and I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more wine.